And on this day, Luis Suarez made his debut for Liverpool after his £22.8 million move from Ajax. And he scored against Stoke, came on as a sub, went round the keeper, slotted his finish, defender slid in the line, went in off the post. He was happy, he called it a dream debut. And also, worth remembering that he'd not played since December the 8th because of a combination of a winter break in Holland and a 7-match suspension for biting a player. What a guy. What Sean, I think, wants us to do with this is compare strikers. So we're comparing Salah to Torres and to Suarez. You're just about old enough to have seen all of them.
I think that's probably why to be on the show.
That's why we're not mentioning Michael Owen and Robbie Fowler and people like that. If we've got time, I might mention that. But go on, who's your favourite out of those three, and who do you think's the best?
I don't know, something that you kind of think about a lot. I think a lot of people keep bringing it up since Salah has shown what he's done and played the way he has in the last season. So it is a tough one, but I think just thinking about it today before we started this, I think Suarez just stands out. I mean, there's so many moments that you can kind of look back on and think of, and I don't know, I was talking to Sean earlier, and with Torres, I don't really remember a lot of it. I think because I was about 8 or 9 when he made his debut.
Come on, his goal against Blackburn alone.
Oh yeah, no, I remember that, and a few of the big ones. But yeah, I think Suarez there were so many moments where you kind of looked about at each other when you were watching the game, thinking, how has he done that? I mean, Norwich sticks out.
Norwich is amazing.
I think he ended that keeper's career pretty much, didn't he, Ruddy? And just the quality he had individually and bringing other players into the game. You know, you can see here the assists he's got as well. There aren't kind of any low numbers in any of the kind of categories. So yeah, he stands out for me.
I mean, for me, Suarez, obviously, talented player, arguably one of the most talented to have ever played for Liverpool across the history of the club. But also, for my book, just a bit of a knob. I mean, went round biting people, did something similar when he was at Liverpool, sort of went on strike for a little bit and, did the thing with Kenny where he said he'd apologise to everyone, didn't do, and I know everyone's got their opinion on that, but I just kind of think and he wanted to go and he manoeuvred his way out of the club, and so brilliant player, but I don't know, I don't share the love that some people seem to have for him. I just think, brilliant player, but you got off, brilliant player, but you threw Kenny under the bus, brilliant player, but you bit some fella. So anyway, Torres for me though, I absolutely love Torres, and I noticed before Sean said throwing Sean under the bus here, but Sean said to me before, Torres scored on his debut, didn't he? Well, he scored. He did on his Anfield debut, but he'd already got two games under his belt by then. But that Anfield game when he goes round Ben Haim and puts it in the corner, I think we knew we had something special there, and he was brilliant at Anfield in particular. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either, because that's where we all get to mainly watch these fellas. And loved Torres, and I know it broke a lot of hearts when he went, and man included, I've probably got to say. And I think loads of people, I still hear it to this day, people say when he left and in the manner he left in, loads of people went, right, well, I'm never sort of going to get that way about a player ever again. I think
when you mentioned your point on Suarez being a bit of a knob, I think that kind of comes down to with Torres. He was so likeable, and the cool kid come from Spain, and the advert that was out, which is unreal. And
he seemed to embrace the whole culture, didn't he? He had the song, which was brilliant as well, and then it was all a bit like, well, to go to Chelsea, what are you doing? And then he did like a bit of a weird interview with Chelsea when he first got there. I enjoyed it, in fact, that when he played that friendly, that he got his name sung, and everyone, loads of people still say, fuck him.
But you can see regret, can you, a little bit with him. I think he knew he had something really good, and I guess when you're looking back at it with the less emotion, he was making a move for his career, and at the end of the day,
this is it. I mean, his experience at Liverpool behind the scenes is very different to the way we're emotionally attached to the club, and I just think there's a lot of promises that were made to him, a lot of bullshit that was fed the players at the time by people who were at the club at that time in terms of who they might sign, who they could sign, and where it was going. And I think he just got fed up. People get fed up in jobs, people get fed up with people they're working with and things like that. That happens all over the world in all different professions, and I think that's what happened there. I remember, in the derby when I think it was the one where Hodgson decided to call it Utopia if we were going to beat Everton. But, I remember, I think Carragher was bollocking Torres in that game, and Torres was sort of giving it back. And I think when, there's a time and a place for that, obviously, and sometimes you think it's a good thing. I think when I saw that, I thought it's a bad thing. That it kind of felt like, they didn't really like each other anymore, and you just sort of thought a partner the way seems fairly inevitable. I think the phrase everyone used with Torres towards the end of his career at Liverpool was that he down tools a little bit, that he didn't want to be there anymore, and so it was inevitable. We haven't even mentioned Mo really here, have we? I mean, he's got to 50 Liverpool goals in 65 games, which is fewer than Torres, who did it in 84, fewer than Suarez, who did it in 91. I mean, he's pretty special as well, isn't he? And he's still here.
Definitely, and I think, you mentioning about Torres and Suarez downing tools just before they left. I think what you're seeing now from Liverpool, generally with the bigger players, with our kind of star signings and star players, is that we are tying them down with long-term contracts. They all seem really happy. The environment around the club from top to bottom is really happy. So hopefully, kind of those days are gone a little bit in terms of players having to down tools to get a way out. And comparing Salah to Suarez, it's so difficult because you look at the team Salah has around him and had around him last season, and there's not to take anything away from his numbers or what he did. But there were a lot of games where he had his moments. He would score the goal, but he didn't necessarily take the whole game and light it up like Suarez used to do. And that's probably down to the fact that he had players around him. He has Mane and Firmino, two players who are probably not far off Sturridge's level in 13-14, and Suarez only had him really.